What's up, guys? My name is Lou Betcha. I'm subbing in for Brady this week on the show. Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and the DFS Picks and Prediction Show. Tune in every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We're typically Brady, Luke, Weezy, and MMA Monk on the upcoming card from a DFS perspective and on the fights as well. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to Pub Sports so you don't miss out on any of the content throughout the week. Joining me, two people you guys know very well, Monk MMA Maddox and everybody's favorite uncle, Uncle Weezy. Guys, start with you, Monk. Looking forward to this card or what?
Absolutely. We've had a little bit, as they used to say, as my mom would say, we've been in the salad days of the UFC these past couple of weeks with some good fights, but, name value turns out to be, not what you expect. But luckily the fights have been decent, but this week, much different. This is a steak and shrimp surf and turf card right here. I didn't shave my head, so I got the Woo hat. It's Woo Wednesday. Let's go. We'll give some good plays. And we'll, as Weezy says, I don't want to steal his line. Stack some DFS tickets like flapjacks this week, boys.
Weezy, how excited are you for this card coming up this weekend after a couple of, let's say, questionable booking decisions the last few weeks? What are you thinking about this pay-per-view card, my man?
Yeah, man, and they kind of sandwiched it in between like 3 rough weeks, and then if you look at the next couple of weeks, it's not getting any better after this week. So let's enjoy this week. 15 fights. I mean, this is a variance player's absolute wet dream, this card. When you've got 15 fights, a lot of live underdogs, a lot of old fighters, where there's high variance within those fights. When I was looking through fighters to fade on this particular card, and there's 30 of them, it's hard. It's hard to find actually fighters to fade this week because there's a lot of guys that are and gals that are scoring over 3 Draftkings points per minute on the aggregate. So not many low scoring fighters on this particular slate. So it's going to be a fun one. We'll chop it up and we'll try to find some angles for all you guys.
Yeah, this is a good slate for both betting and for DFS, but DFS is the name of the show. And at the end of the show, we'll be giving our picks, our lineups. I know there's some bet you guys always do. So I'm just going to say the loser has to hear like the entirety of Old Man in the Sea from Tony Ferguson. read in excruciatingly painful detail. We got 5 live viewers right now. Guys, thanks for tuning in. If you're seeing this on a later broadcast, thanks a lot. And I don't have the results from last week's contest. Monk, I believe you have them if you want to go through them.
Yeah, we can start off that way super quick. Luke absolutely killed it. He is enjoying his DFS win. He is on vacation this week. That's why you don't see his wonderful face on your screen. But Luke gave out the second highest score of the week last week. He was 1 fighter off. If he would have switched Natan Levy with Romanov, he would have given you the optimal lineup. So Luke scoring 726.93 with Romanov, Dawson, Elkins, Font, Vera, and Brito. Fantastic lineup. Brady, second place, with 585.43, Romanov, Mazzani, Dawson, Vera, Collier, and Brito. Weezy, or actually Monk in, never mind. It is Weezy in third place, 9,300 for Feely, Mazzani, Green, Figueiredo, Vera, Mearshart scoring 368.46. And your boy pulling up the caboose, 353.29 with Romanov, Mazzani, De Silva, Vera, Connolly, and Gordon. So the standings as they are now, Luke is in first place, 6181.60 points. Brady in second with 6,058.79. I am in third, 5,907.62, and Weezy 5,767.26. So Luke absolutely killing it this week. Fantastic stuff from our guy right there.
Killing it so bad he took the week off.
That's right. Exactly. He earned it.
Well, without further ado, let's start attacking these lineups. We'll start off with the first category. That's fight the target. Monk, why don't you lead us off with this one?
Well, I'm going to pick the obvious one, Charles Oliveira and Justin Gaethje. No messing around here. I mean, these salaries are fantastic for this 5-round main event. 8,500 for Oliveira. You get 3.5 points a minute, 95 when he wins. He's right around his average salary, less than $100 more expensive than his average salary. Only gives up 2.78 per minute, an average value of 8.5. But lately, it's been much, much higher than that. I don't have to tell you much about Oliveira. His finish upside is remarkable. Over 75, so 15 of 20 UFC wins. He scored over 90. He's put up over 130% of those wins. I love Oliveira, especially on the cash side this week. I know that's kind of, this is a higher variance fight, with meaning either guy could win by finish. But if I have to pick one for cash, I'm picking Oliveira. Now, the one I'm playing mostly in GPPs, don't get me wrong, I will have Oliveira in GPPs, but Justin Gaethje might be my highest exposed fighter this week, at least underdog fighter for sure, at 7,700. More raw DraftKings points than Oliveira at 3.56. He's $300 cheaper than his average salary, averaging 105 when he wins. This guy can put you out at any time. He has the durability of, a young Tony Ferguson, pretty much. It's pretty damn near impossible to finish this guy. Not completely impossible, but, everyone knows about his durability. This is going to be a stand and bang type fight, unless Oliveira can get it to the ground somehow. But that said, Gaethje, no slouch on the ground. He did get submitted by, Khabib Nurmagomedov. No slouch there, but I love everything about this fight. I'll be 90 to 95% exposed on GPPs, with a bit higher for Gaethje for that salary relief and the salary voodoo. Check out the video on MMA Engine. Is fantastic. The best fight to play for salary voodoo. So give me Oliveira, Gaethje, fight to target.
All right. Weezy, what do you got for your fight to target?
Yeah, it's the same one for me, but I think you can target either one of these championship fights. They are both high-scoring fighters that are involved in both of them. But as far as what I had written down for Gaethje Oliveira, Font versus Vera last week was an obvious choice. This is an obvious choice. Both of these guys are averaging over 3.5 raw DraftKings points per minute, and that's in a combined 38 fights. So, 30. When you're looking at that, 35 points or 3.5 raw DraftKings points a minute translates out to about 87, 88 points over a 5-round fight in a loss. So, these are guys that are going to put up a ton of points, and it's also minus 600 that the fight doesn't go to decision. So, if you're picking the winner of this fight, the chances of them not being optimal at 8,500 or 7,700, it's a little bit higher this week because there's 15 fights than it would be on any other week, but still, it's going to be hard to outscore either one of the guys that wins this fight. So, yeah, this is a good one, but Esparza and Namajunas as well. Both of those ladies score very well in their wins, and they score a lot of raw DraftKings points per minute. So definitely a very good one.
Well, I don't want to make it a consensus with the main event, so I will pivot to what you were just talking about and go with Rose Namajunas, excuse me, against Carla Esparza. It's a 5-round fight, just to add a little bit to what Weezy said. Esparza, 3 of her last 4 wins, she's been in triple digits. She's averaging over 3 takedowns a fight, and that's just in 3-round bouts. Rose Namajunas, triple digits in 4 of her last 6 wins. The price tag with Esparza, I mean, even in a loss, she has a couple of good rounds of takedowns. She can still get you points. We've seen Rose with first-round knockouts. Her ceiling is very high. We've seen Esparza finished by, Joanna was a long time ago, but we have seen Esparza finished. So I think either way here, there's a lot of points in play. I know I wasn't going to typically take a fight that, the fight goes the distance was in the plus odds, but I feel like the way this fight can play out, they both have potential to easily go over 100 points with their winning condition. So that being said, let's move on to the my favorite category and the toughest one today, fight to fade. So Weezy, start off with you with this one. What is your fight to fade for this card?
Yeah, dude, it took me a minute. I think I got about 13 fights in before I was like, okay, you could feel kind of safe fading this one. And for me, it's going to be Danny Roberts against Francisco Trinaldo. These are 2 of the lowest pace fighters on this week's slate. Roberts scoring 2.31 DraftKings points per minute, and Trinaldo scoring 2.32, and that's over a double-digit UFC sample size in fights. So, at that particular rate, you're talking about even in a decision loss, they get about 36 points, and in a decision win, about 66 points. A lot of high-scoring fights on this particular card. A lot of fights are projected to finish inside the distance. This is not one of them. I think it could be sneaky to finish inside the distance. Danny's been finishing all 5 of his professional losses. But Francisco Trinaldo is 74 years old, you guys. I really don't know if he's going to be the one to push that off button on Roberts. And Roberts looked pretty good against Amiv, who's a really well-rounded and fighter that's, a winner. So at least he was able to win enough minutes in that fight to get a very close decision. But if this fight looks anything like that Roberts and Amiv fight, it's going to be a low-scoring cage battle, a lot of clinch work. And those kind of fights do not translate to DraftKings points. So that's going to be the safest one for me to fade this week, because I was not finding a lot of fights that I thought would be low scoring this week.
Yeah, it's a tricky week for that. By the way, Trinaldo, 78 in Brazilian years. So
oh my God, that's right.
We really don't know. We really don't know how old he really is. I struggle with this one a little bit too. I see some potential in every fight for somebody having a nice ceiling. I ended up on Macy Chiasson and Norma Dumont. Norma Dumont's only been over 100 once in 4 fights, and her price tag is so high that really, unless she goes wrestling heavy all of a sudden, which she hasn't shown predilection to do, I don't see her scoring 100 in a striking battle. I don't see this fight having a finish. Macy Chiasson, bad loss 5 months ago. I think she's had enough time off, but I think a lot of her success has been being like the bigger girl. I know that's how horrible that sounds, but being the bigger girl in these fights and using like her size to push people around, she won't be able to do that here. Yeah. I could see it being a 15-minute, really low striking affair. I mean, maybe Chiasson in a win could get 10x, but she would really need a lot of control time. I just don't see it. I think Dumont wins the fight. I think her ceiling is probably 70, 75 points in a striking affair. So I don't want to completely fade Chiasson. I think she's good salary relief, but I'm going to probably 100% fade Dumont for this fight. Monk, what is your fight to fade, sir?
Like Weezy said, well, I have a ton of fighters to fade, but fights to fade is very difficult, like Uncle Weezy said. I ended up I did settle on which fight did you say there, Weezy? I forget.
It was the Roberts Trinaldo fight.
Yeah, that was my number 1 pick, but I will pivot to this is a questionable call, but the old man fight of the week, Ovince Preux against Shogun Rua. Now, this is mostly a fade to Shogun's age and time away from the octagon. Ovince Preux 9,200 is absolutely insanity, or absolute insanity. You used the wrong adverb there. 1.99 raw DraftKings points per minute, so less than 2. It's absolutely ridiculous. Less than 90 points when he wins. This is over 13 fights, you guys. Average value of 6.95, and the icing on the Preux cake is he is 825 over his average salary. I don't like anything about what I just said. In finish wins, in knockout TKO wins, 96 points. In submission wins, 91 points. He is not scoring shit. Maurício Shogun Rua. Now, if he still has the power, and if he can finish Preux in, I don't know, what do you guys think, the first 2.5, 3 minutes? This will be a bad call, because Rua will score fantastically, and at 7,000 he would make the optimal lineup with a very early finish. Scores decently, 3.26 a minute, 100 points per win, $1,000 or $1,100 cheaper than his average salary. But like I said, I don't know what we're going to expect from Rua here. That is the high variance part of this fight. 529 days since he's been in the octagon. Like I said, he's 40 years, 5 months old. And Preux is 39 years old, does not give up a ton of points either. So I'm going to be trepidatiously fading this fight, hoping that Rua does not get that first round finish and totally wreck all of my lineups.
Yeah, that's a weird fight. I see we have 19 people watching live right now. Just so you guys know, you're not seeing things. Brady and Luke are off this week. I am filling in just as a temporary sub. So that is all. Monk and Weezy, we allowed them to go home for the week to come back for this show. We are moving on to fighter to fade. I will go first here. If I've learned anything from my Friday co-host, Monk, is that there is a certain salary to be avoided at almost all costs, and that it's never optimal. And while I think he's going to win, I think Michael Chandler at $9,600 is somebody I want to avoid. Yes, he has first-round knockout potential. It's Mike Chandler. We know what kind of fists he brings. We know the power he has. However, Tony Ferguson, despite his losing streak, his durability is that of legend. I think he can hang in there. I don't know if Chandler will go to the wrestling. He could. if he goes to the wrestling for 15 minutes, maybe he pays off that salary. He 10Xs. But I think if Chandler's just trying to knock him out, he's going to really struggle to put up a lot of DraftKings points in the first 2 rounds. And as crazy as it sounds, with where Ferguson is in his career, if this fight gets to the end of the second, beginning of the third, much like I don't like holding a betting ticket on Chandler at that point, you are not going to feel comfortable with Chandler so much with a ton of volume in the third, just knowing how Ferguson's fights have gone historically in his career. So I don't want to fade him completely, but I understand if I have to pick somebody in that 9,000 and up range, I'm going to take my stand and fade Michael Chandler. Monk, who is your guy to fade for this event?
I completely agree. I'm glad I'm rubbing off on you. I had him as my number 1 fade. I will pivot, but just to back you up, 10 times the 9,600 has been used. It's only made the optimal once. Romanov was the 7th highest scorer last week. It does have an 80% win percentage, but that is only a 12.5 optimal percentage, the lowest out of any salary. And lastly, the probability of that salary winning and not making the optimal is 70% currently. So I am playing against those numbers, but quickly let me pivot to Blagoy Ivanov. Very low scoring fighter, 8,400 this week, so not too expensive, but I won't be getting to any of him in GPPs. 2.08 points per minute. He only allows 1.8 back at him, but he's averaging 72.27. There are 0 points going around Blagoy Ivanov fights, and he's got 5 fight sample history to base that off of. And he's coming in almost $500 over his average salary. He has yet to score 90 points. And Rogério de Lima, Ivanov's never been finished, but if he could be, De Lima might be the guy to do it. I'm not going to be playing probably either side of this fight. Maybe a little bit of De Lima in GPPs, but Ivanov, his numbers are so terrible that I just can't trust him whatsoever. Maybe a bit in cash, but definitely not in bigger tournaments. Give me the fade on Ivanov this week.
I think De Lima only finishes relatives of Clint at this
That's
point.
true.
So,
that's true.
So, Weezy, who do you got for your fighter to fade?
Watch out at the family reunions, the Clint family reunions. If you see Rogério de Lima around there, hide your kids.
Oh yeah, well that dude's been making Clint some money, because I was on the Rothwell side for that last fight against De Lima, and Rothwell did not look great there, man. I mean, he got absolutely destroyed, and it was very fast. But the thing is, and Rothwell, another guy with legendary durability, and De Lima went through him like a hot knife through butter. And I'm picking Blagoy Ivanov, because at least we know that Ben Rothwell never survived being stabbed in the heart.
Yes.
And that is something that Blagoy Ivanov has done. Blagoy Ivanov not only survived being stabbed 15 times, outside of a Bulgarian nightclub, once in the heart. He's also survived 5 rounds with Julian Dos Santos. He's survived 3 rounds with Tai Tuivasa. He's survived 3 rounds with the Black Beast, Derek Lewis. He's survived 3 rounds with Augusto Sakai. This man cannot be killed. And if De Lima kind of goes out there and does what he normally does, I think he's going to be completely out of gas after 120 seconds, and Blagoy might look a little bit confused, but he's going to eventually say, this guy trying to hit me. And then he's going to go over there and he's going to end this dude quickly. I think that's actually what's going to happen here. But I'm going to go with this week's fighter to fade for me is going to be St. Preux. Now, Monk talked about it. 1.99 raw DraftKings points per minute. So it's with St. Preux, you have this weird conundrum, right? Because you're looking for dudes that finish fights. And Ovince has finished his last 6 wins. And you'd be like, damn, 6 wins, all finishes? This guy's got to be kicking ass. No, man, he's never scored more than 92 points like in these wins that he's gotten in his last 6 finishes. So he's just very low volume. So it's kind of like one of those things. If you're rostering Ovince St. Preux and he doesn't get his opponent out of there in the first 60 seconds or right at the end of the first round after piling up a lot of points, dude, this guy is not going to 10X, and he's not going to 10X at 9,200. On just the tip last night, I was kind of, because I refused to watch tape on this fight, because I refused to gamble on it, because I didn't want to actually, put my hard-earned money on a fight where you're just trying to pick which guy is more washed. When you look at all the stats, actually, like Hua has got better strength of schedule, more power. He goes to the grappling more often, and he wins more minutes on the ground. And he's actually been a little bit more durable, which is actually kind of crazy to hear. Yeah. So I just think Ovince is way overpriced, not only in relation to his work rate as a DraftKings player, but in just this particular contest. I feel like it's more of a 50-50, even though Ovince got him out of there in the first round. That's the only Ovince St. Preux performance that was ever DraftKings worthy, was when he fought Maurício Shogun Rua the first time. So I'm taking a chance by saying to fade him this week. But really, if he doesn't get Shogun out of there in the first 60 seconds again, I think you're going to be disappointed with how many points he scores.
If you were going to tape that fight, you would have had to have started in January.
I know, dude. And that's another thing too, man. And just to watch Ovince, like I'd be just do something. You know, like Ovince St. Preux, I'm just yelling at him to do something. It seems like if he would wrestle at all, that he would be great. And it seems like if he let his hands go at all, that he could be great. And he doesn't do either. It's hard to watch.
Got Billy in the house here.
It's true. Billy speaks facts, baby.
Yeah. I just so you know, because I knew you were going to bring up Blagoy, I did wear my Bulgarian Rusev shirt for the show to make sure that I was ready. But
nice.
We're going to move on to the next category. That is your favorite dog of the night. Monk, lead us off. Who is your favorite dog on this wonderful card?
There's two obvious ones. I'm going to take, I guess, the more fun one. Carla Esparza is going to be my favorite dog this week. 7,300. How do you not play her in GPPs, especially if you're, not listening to us and playing Chandler, or if you're playing Fiallo or whoever at the top? You're going to have some Esparza in there. 3.75 raw DraftKings points a minute, 96 when she wins. Fantastic numbers, especially at that strawweight division. She's $550 or $540 cheaper than her average salary, and she gets an average value win or loss of 9.75. She is averaging almost a 10x per fight, no matter what happens. And at 7,300, she's going to be able to 10x pretty easily if she follows the pattern of what she's been doing, which is takedowns, ground control time. 1.18 points per minute just in takedowns, you guys. That is the second best number on the card. 0.59 points a minute just in control time. Add on to that 1.87 points just in striking. She is she's been a killer everywhere. And the thing is, Rose has been known to be taken down. She does have a decent takedown game of her own, with scoring points wise, almost one, actually just barely over 1 point a minute on her own takedown and control time. But she does allow about 0.63 points per minute in those same categories. So I'm going to be playing this one heavy in cash, probably both sides. But Esparza is, or I'm sorry, I should say I'm going to be playing Namajunas in cash. Esparza is one of my favorite GP play underdogs this week, just because of that huge takedown upside. And if this goes 5 rounds and she wins, she could score well over 110 points if she gets Rose down a couple of times. If Rose can't get up, that's just going to rack up points. So give me Esparza as my favorite dog.
There you go. Weezy, you top that?
No, because I also chose Esparza. But, like this week, when you're looking at these dogs, if you don't have Namajunas or you don't have Charlie Olives in your lineup, the obvious choice is going to be that you're going to have Gaethje or Esparza. And Esparza in a 5-round fight, if she doesn't get finished at that 3.75 DraftKings points per minute that Monk was talking about, this, she's scoring 95 points in a decision loss. You guys. So these are the kind of safe plays that you make in cash type of lineups to get that salary relief so that you can go up there and get the fighters at the top that you think are going to finish. So I think that that's a really safe play, but there's a lot of dogs on this card that have some finish upside, that have some really sneaky upside. With Gatto, you're getting a lot of salary relief in terms of where she is priced to her line. With Joe Lauzon, you get a guy who's extremely front loaded and he's fighting a guy that frankly looked washed. But, that Lauzon Cerrone fight is like, who's more washed? Who's going to look for the door first, and somebody's probably going to. If that fight goes the full 15 minutes, I'd be surprised. So
Can you?
But
Well,
yeah.
there's somebody else that has to go on the show that may have picked that fight.
Oh yeah. Oh God. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, but Esparza, in terms of just like if you're trying to beat one person, that's a really safe floor for somebody that's in a 5-round fight, for somebody that will go to the wrestling, because it's exactly how she beat Rose last time. So she's not going to beat Rose with striking. That's not how Carla wins fights. So we can count on her to wrestle. And if we can count on her to do that, we can count on her to pile up DraftKings points and get us some salary relief and some 10x or maybe 11x on her salary.
I imagine she's going to be probably the most popular public. Well, her and Gaethje probably going to be the most popular public dogs. Knowing that everyone's going to probably say Esparza, I did pivot away. This one breaks my heart. I have to go with Joe Lauzon at 7,400. It's high risk, high reward. I know he hasn't fought in 2.5 years. He did beat your favorite guy, Weezy. So, like, I know that probably he did beat JSP his last time out. 4 of his last 5 wins, he's been over 100 points. So, like you said, he's front loaded. Him and Cerrone do not have 15-minute cardio here. They're not getting paid by the hour. Cerrone, first round finishes have become a thing. I mean, his durability issues are a problem. I know he's had time off. If this was fought like in a video game and there wasn't age and durability concerns, Cerrone beats him probably 9 times out of 10, but I just can't trust him at this point. I think Lauzon, even if Cerrone knows the blitz is coming, I think Lauzon's very live, not just for a first round knockout. I hate to say, I think the first minute finish is in play here. Yeah. If he gets him once or twice. And at 7,400. Now, the problem is his floor is like 9 points. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't get him out of there,
0.9 points, but that doesn't matter.
I think that like that's a fight that I want to get some exposure to on both ends. But I think at the price point against Cerrone, I mean, remember this line opened. Cerrone opened at like minus 240, something like that when it first came out. So I think you're getting a pretty reasonable DK price compared to the current line, which I always like to see. But yeah, this is going to be like a heartbreaker. I like both guys so much. This kind of a little heartbreaking to watch, but maybe they should have been put away a long time ago. Moving on, Weezy, we'll start with you. What is your favorite GPP play of the week?
Yeah, dude, I hate everybody for GPPs this week, dude. You know what? Actually, I mean, I wrote 4 different names, and then when I went to go write the reason why I was gonna pick that guy, I was like, oh, I can't pick this guy. And I mean, this happened 4 times, and I finally settled on, oh my God, Donald Cerrone. Is that what I really settled on? And look, I mean, like, I even earlier said that to fade Ovince St. Preux, and then I got down here and I'm like, maybe you got to take St. Preux, like it's so bad this week because there's so many narratives, in terms of that guy is absolutely washed, whether it's Shogun, whether it's Ferguson, whether it's St. Preux, whether it's Lauzon, whether it's Cerrone, we don't know. I mean, even Chandler's like 38 years old, I said Cerrone because here's the thing. When I looked at, I was just screaming obscenities when I found out I had to do data entry for Joe Lauzon because I do their entire career to get their entire career stats. And I saw Lauzon his card. I'm like, you haven't retired yet? Because he wasn't in my database. I had to do like something like 27 UFC fights. So I went and I looked at this dude's strength of schedule. You add up all the wins and take the records of those fighters that he beat, add them all up. They're below 500. Joe Lauzon doesn't beat great UFC fighters. I mean, and he hasn't beaten a great one in a very long time. And the Pierce win was a freak accident. That was a banana peel. Jonathan Pierce would absolutely destroy this guy if they fought again. And Pierce is my favorite fighter. I am not biased on that. But I am just going to say that Cerrone, if he gets out of the first 2 minutes here, Donald Cerrone over a huge sample size in the UFC is showing 90% takedown defense. We do know that Lauzon is not really going to last on the feet with this guy if it becomes a range kickboxing match. I think Cerrone gets the job done and gets it done pretty easily as long as Lauzon allows him to settle into the fight and kind of get his fight legs under him for the first couple minutes. That's when Lauzon is going to be at his most live. But I think if it goes more past that 2.5 minute mark, Lauzon's going to be like, okay, I gave you my best. I'm looking for the door now.
Yeah, that's going to be a really divisive fight. I struggle with this one a little bit because I'm ultimately I settled on Andre Fialho. I don't love the 9,000 range. It was either going to be between him or Godinez, which would have been a nice leverage play, as I don't think she's going to be very highly owned this week. When you're going to get Cortez for 300 cheaper in the same kind of format and style of fight with the takedowns. But for me with Fialho, yeah, I know he just fought 3 weeks ago. He did put up 110 plus against Baeza. Van Camp, yeah, he beats up people on the regionals. He's looked okay. He has some grappling, so maybe that's a little bit of a concern as Fialho really hasn't faced that, but I don't like what I've seen of Van Camp getting hit. He has struggled. He had some weird struggles in like his United Combat League fight. I just think Fialho comes in here and he seems pretty tough to get out of there. I think he's going to starch him early. Van Camp on short notice. I think Fialho really high upside for the salary. Again, this is a week where there's just not a lot of guys in the 9,000 range that like Royval. I have doubts with. I can't trust OSP in the 9,000s. I already said I'm going to fade Chandler. So ultimately, I went with Andre Fialho at 9,500. I really think that another guy where maybe the minute finish is still in play for him, but I think 110 points is definitely a solid play at his salary. I don't like going that high, but I do like his upside here for a really quick finish. So, Monk, what's your GPP play of the week?
I agree completely. Andre Fialho, 9,500 is the one. I mean, I hate the $9,000 fighters. Chandler, I can't play. Rodriguez, big question marks. Royval, I don't trust at all. Preux, nope. Dumont, nope. Godinez, maybe. She's got the second best upside, in my opinion, besides the finish upside of Fialho at that 9K range. So give me Fialho. Not a great pace, 2.18 points per minute, but he scored, like Lou said, 112, almost 113 when he won. And my main thing is he's going against an unproven Cameron Van. I mean, Fialho was 1-1 in the UFC. That first fight, he did lose, but he held his own against Michel Pereira. That, I mean, was surprising, I'm sure, to a lot of people. And he looked pretty good in that loss. And then he comes out and absolutely starches Miguel Baeza like 3 weeks ago. Looked great in that fight. I think, he deserves to be on the UFC. I don't know if Cameron Van Camp does, and that's not a slam on Cam. A Cam slam, if you will. But I just don't know if he deserves. I just don't know enough about him. So this will be his first fight in the UFC, and I'm going to be fading him, even though he has the height and I think reach advantage, even though the UFC apparently didn't know his reach as of yesterday. So the last thing I'll say about this is just like I'm fading Chandler 100% because of the salary voodoo. I'm playing this fight 100% because of the salary. 95 is the best salary to play. 52% of the time, it makes the optimal. 11 out of 21 times, 81% win percentage of that salary, 64.7% optimal when it wins. This is the number one greatest salary to play. So that just tells you that 9,600 is just that much too expensive when, the worst and the best is right next to each other. So if you're thinking about playing Chandler, I would strongly advise to take half those lineups and put Fialho in instead. So that's going to be my favorite GPP play this week.
All right. This is a good week for that. But let's move on to the next category. We have your favorite cash game play. I will start off here. I'm going to go, and this is another tricky one for me, but I am going to go with Lupe Godinez for my favorite cash game play. She's $9,000. A lot of takedown upside here. Carnelossi has struggled mightily stopping takedowns. Lupe's career is kind of interesting because she came out she had the 2 fights in a week was not a great look. The second fight was not a great look against Luana Carolina, but I like what I see. I like the strategy. I like the fight IQ. I think she's going to get Carnelossi down often. I think she's going to just run like the first 2 rounds of this fight are going to be just maybe 9.5 minutes of control time. She's going to land some strikes, but not money. That's not really her game. A lot of control time, a lot of attempts at subs. If Carnelossi is still there in the third, which I have to, is obviously a valid concern. I still think Godinez can weather the storm, stay at distance, can still land takedowns in the third. She's shown that she has pretty good cardio. I think at worst in a win, she's paying off her salary at 10x. I think at best, she could definitely get over 110, 120, depending on how many times Carnelossi gets up. But I don't see Godinez losing this fight. I don't think Carnelossi is even really I don't know if she's even a better striker. She's definitely hits harder, but I don't know if she's a better tactical striker. So To me, I think Godinez is safe everywhere. And at $9,000, it does free up a little bit of room so that you don't have to drop in like Ferguson or whatever in a cash game lineup. I mean, if you want to, that's fine. But at least it does free up a little bit of room so you're not reaching for those highest of high-end salaries. So, Monk, what do you got for your cash game play?
Well, I just switched it up. I've been talking, smack about how you can't play Chandler, but I can't give you the most expensive fighter on the card, even though I do like him for a cash play. I'll go ahead and give you Khaos Williams, 8,300 this week. He's going to be very easy to get to, going up against Randy Brown. This is going to be a fantastic fight. I'm super excited for it. But Williams, 3.06 raw DraftKings points per minute, allowing only 1.73. Average points per win, 102, and this is over 4 UFC wins, only giving up 62.43, the number one defensive pace on the entire card. 62 points per loss. Fantastic. So I would not be expecting too much as far as DraftKings points from Randy Brown based on that number alone. But Khaos Williams, 11.2 average value. That's the best value on the entire card. He's averaging over 11x per fight. And if he does that here, he is going to be a fantastic cash play, get you that win, get you, what's 11x of 83, north of 90 points. So that is going to be pretty good for cash. So give me the upside of Khaos Williams here, even if it goes to decision. He doesn't score that well in decision, 75, but I still like him to win the fight. And just the chance that he could get that KO. Randy Brown has been KO'd twice in the UFC. So give me Williams as a good cash play this week.
Yeah, Brown by Luque and Price, and not that long ago. So, Weezy, what's your cash game play for this particular event?
Yeah, I got to redeem myself after saying Donald Cerrone, because I'm, the pitchforks and torches are going to come for me next week if Lauzon sleeps this dude in the first 50 seconds. And believe me, I am under the impression that it could happen. But, Charlie Oliveira, come on. I like him to win this fight inside the distance via submission. I think he can hang for a while on the feet too. But when Justin makes a mistake, if he overextends on a punch, if he throws a naked leg kick that he doesn't set up, Charles can catch a kick, get this guy down to the ground. And, even if like Gaethje was a black belt, I'd still think, oh yeah, Charles is submitting him, because there's just levels to the jiu-jitsu. And when you're a guy that's not only a champion of your weight class, but you've set an all-time record in the UFC for most submissions ever. You got to believe if this fight gets to the ground in any way, shape, or form, Justin Gaethje is going to be in huge trouble. So you got to beat the champion to be the champion. 5-round fight. Oliveira scoring almost like 3.5 raw DraftKings points per minute. It's an easy cash lineup spot, and there's a lot of salary relief already out there this week. So Charlie Olive's at 8,500, man. That's where I'm going. All
right. We're moving on. I see we got 45 live viewers. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight, by the way. And please hit the like and subscribe. And if I could just cheap plug the MMA Engine, also go like and subscribe that channel. All three of us are on it. We're churning out content. We'll get to that later at the end of the show, though. Moving on. Who is your favorite value play? Monk, you start this one off, my friend.
Well, I already talked about Esparza. I already talked about Gaethje. Obviously, if you're listening, you'll know that I do value those plays. So I will switch it up a little bit and kind of echo, I believe, somebody that you said already. Macy Chiasson at $7,100 could absolutely pay off her salary in a win this week. 3.89 points per minute is what she scores. That's the third highest number on the card. 101.54 points. These are some of the best numbers in the entire division. Well, I know this one's at featherweight, but in the bantamweight division and in women's fights in general, you don't usually see triple digit scores like this. So it is nice and refreshing to see some large, numbered DraftKings points here. She only allows 2.14 points a minute and 80 when she loses, and an average value of 9.08. So 9x. If you get that on 7,100, that means she's probably got you a win, and it's going to be a decent cash play there. Also, the icing on the cake, $1,700 less than her average salary. So you're getting huge salary relief if you do decide to play like Chandler in cash, or you can get to Chandler and Namajunas maybe in cash, or whoever else you kind of like at that price range by putting Chiasson in there. Dumont does not have this locked up as far as I'm concerned. This could go either way. I probably will end up picking Dumont, but like Lou said, she's not just going to be able to throw Chiasson around, I don't think. So give me the huge pace and possible winning upside at that salary of Macy Chiasson this week.
All right, Macy Chiasson. Weezy.
Oh boy, bring out the pitchforks and torches because your Uncle Weezy just went crazy again. I'm actually going to tell you that my favorite value play this week is Blagoy Ivanov. And yes,
nice.
All right. So look, it kind of comes down to durability in this fight. When you look at the guys that Ivanov's been in the cage with, and the fact that he's survived with all of them, I don't think Lima's getting him out of there early. And if he doesn't, Ivanov is better everywhere. Ivanov has 18 pro wins. 6 are by decision, 6 are by submission, 6 are by knockout. Guy's a world Sambo champion. Like I say, the durability, there's not even a comparison in the durability of these two guys. Marcos Rogério de Lima has been finished, I believe, in all of his losses, or 6 of 7 losses. 5 by submission, once by knockout, and he's been finished in all 5 of his UFC losses. So, if he just doesn't get Ivanov out of there, Ivanov's fought the better brand of competition. He's the natural heavyweight. He's got more years in the game. I just believe that he's going to get him out of there once this guy gasses out. And if you watch how De Lima fights, he only goes to decision when he's able to lay and pray against his opponent. Other than that, he comes out blasting. He goes 100% into all of his strikes. And if he doesn't get you out of there in 2.5 minutes, there's nothing left in the tank. This guy got finished by Gadzhimurad Antigulov.
Who?
That's right. The king of syllables in the UFC. But other than that, the king of not much else. In terms of, he's just got a ton of syllables in his name, and you got to respect that. But so does Marcos Rogério de Lima, I guess, at the end of the day. But,
so does Antonio Carlos Jr., a.k.a. Shoeface.
Elizu Zaleski dos Santos. We could go on and on and on.
So I wanted to go a little contrarian here for my favorite value play. And I'm going to take a stab on somebody who really hasn't shown their full potential in the UFC because their matchups, their schedule has been terrible. But I'm going to take a stab at Journey Newson here. He's sitting at 7,600. He has takedown upside. Fernie Garcia, I mean, I'm not going to argue that he's not the better fighter. Better stand-up, but I think Journey Newson's no slouch. Definitely a better ground game. I target this fight to go the distance. I don't think Fernie Garcia, I know he had a fluke finish, but I don't see him as a finisher. I think Newson's got UFC experience. There's a Contender Series fade, which, we've talked about before. It's really tough, like having a strong showing your first time out, especially opening a pay-per-view, which I think is, I know the crowd hasn't filled in, but there's a lot that's going on in your head for that. For Journey Newsom, it's win or probably get fired. I could see him taking the safe route, going the takedowns route. I can see him getting a decision win with takedowns. I think 90 to 95 points isn't impossible if he has 2 really good rounds. So I also think he's another good leverage play. I don't think he's going to have very high ownership on this card. People are going to look at his 9.8 average points because he got 0 last time and fade him completely. And I think that there's a possibility he comes in with a stronger game plan, just completely goes to the takedowns, negates the feet. And who knows, man, 10 minutes of control time could be safe. Even in a loss, I think maybe he gets 50 if he has one really dominant round of takedowns. So I think it's a good way to go against the grain of the lineups. But we got one more category left. Guys, if you have questions for the 3 of us, aka questions for the 2 of them, since nobody's going to be asking me anything, feel free to leave them right now. And we will get to the last category and then our lineups and picks. So we are ending with the dart throw. Definitely my favorite category of anything we have here. Weezy, I believe you are up on the dart throw.
Okay, so I'm going to give you somebody that I think is going to be really low owned this week. I'm going with Tracy Cortez. We've had serious line movement since the DraftKings salaries were released in comparison to now. So when these salaries were released, Cortez was minus 180, and she's sitting up at about like 87, 8,800, I think. But right now she's as low as like minus 135 in some spots. So Gatto is definitely the public dog here. Gatto has finished both of her UFC wins inside the distance. So I think that she's going to be a popular play. I think Tracy dominates this fight with her wrestling and top control, and I don't think Gatto's striking is any better than Tracy's. So I don't see Gatto having an easy time winning minutes here wherever the fight goes. I think she's sub or bust, and with Stephanie Egger and Erin Blanchfield unable to submit Tracy Cortez, I don't think that Melissa Gatto is going to be able to. That being said, she does have excellent Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu from her back, but guess what, guys? She's going to be there pretty much the whole damn fight, because if Tracy doesn't want this on the feet, it's going to the ground, whether Melissa likes it or not. These two are not in the same stratosphere when it comes to wrestling, and the wrestler chooses where the fight takes place. And if Gatto winds up with her head up against the cage for the majority of the fight, I think Tracy's going to pile up takedowns, a ton of control time, and a lot of short little strikes. I think she could easily get 10x in a decision win here, and will be very low owned. And you'll be, really able to get different and have some high upside with Tracy Cortez here.
Gatto is looks like MMA Twitter's pick of the week to this point. I'm going to go a little crazy for my dart throw. I was going to throw Tony Ferguson in there, but I decided I could not. I still can't trust Tony because he's crazy, man. But I'm going to go with Matt Danger Schnell.
Yes.
6,900. 2 of his last 3 wins, he's got 91 and 102 points. It has been in his last 5. Royval's lost 2 of his last 4. And his 2 wins, he was in big trouble against Kai Kara France, and he was in very big trouble against Bontarine early. So I don't know if I don't think Schnell's not the kind of guy that's like, he's pretty reserved. He's not like, he's not going to blitz him in the first round, but I think the line's a little wide. I know Schnell's in the distance is plus 450. It doesn't suggest a finish, but what Royval's killer be killed style, I don't want to look too heavily into that. He does have 2 subs on his record. I know Royval got submitted by Pantoja. I don't want to compare these submission skills of Matt Danger Schnell to Pantoja, but he is susceptible to it. And this is Royval. This is something that a lot of people have talked about. This is Royval's first time fighting live, I believe. I don't know if he's ever fought live in a UFC crowd. I know his last few fights have been, in the quiet, empty state. This is the first time being in front of a full crowd. So Schnell definitely is a veteran. This is another thing. Can he weather the storm? Because I don't know that Royval can sustain his manic pace for 15 minutes. So I'm going to go with the veteran at 6,900. Yeah, his floor could be potentially bad here, but that's why it's a dart throw. And at the very worst, it does free up tons of salary to get you everybody else you need in your lineup this week. So I'm going to take the stab with Matt Danger Schnell. Monk, what do you got?
I love that play, man. You can't trust Royval whatsoever, so anything could happen in that one. I'm going to pivot off of that and give you Shogun Rua. If this guy's not washed, this fight shouldn't even be close. Now, I think he might be washed, but I don't know. Honestly, he hasn't fought, like I said, in a year and a half. If he's not washed, you get him for $7K against Ovince St. Preux is the deal of the year. 3.26 points a minute, 100 when he wins. This is over 11 wins. Yeah. Ovince St. Preux gives up 2.83 a minute and 95 when he loses. Just fantastic. Like I said before, Shogun, $1,100 under his average salary. He's putting up 110 every time he gets a knockout on average. I mean, that's his, St. Preux been knocked out 4 times in his pro career, 3 times in the UFC, been finished in 6 of his 11 losses. Shogun, 81% of his 21 UFC, or sorry, what am I looking at here? Of his 11 UFC wins have, he scored over 90, 63% of them he scored over 100, and in 27% of them he scored over 110. Averaging 1 point per minute in takedowns and control time, while St. Preux gives up just under a minute in takedowns and control time. If Shogun is not washed, this won't be close whatsoever. Give me Shogun as the dart throw at 7K. This guy could easily 12x his salary this week.
He's fun to root for too, I think.
He is.
And
he's not going to get St. Preux choked either.
And let me say something too. Let me say something about Maurício Shogun Rua. This guy has the most variance in his UFC performance out of any fantastic fighter that I've ever seen. Usually when you got former champions, you can expect a certain level of commitment out of them in all of their performance. With Hua, when you think he's washed, he shows up for a war. When you think he's at his best, he gets smoked in 30 seconds, just like he did against Ovince St. Preux some years back. So just because everybody's down on him this week and think he's washed, it makes me believe even more that, this is the week that he's going to shock the world, because Ovince is just okay.
And he's like 2 days young, not 2 days, but he's 39. He's not much younger. He's like a year younger.
They're like the same age, and they got the same amount of miles on the tires. It's unbelievable.
And who hasn't fought in a year and a half? So, like any damage he took from Paul Craig, he's been able to wear it off even at this point in his career. But I guess this time, I don't know how the competition's working this week for you guys with lineups, but I do have a lineup ready to go.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Who's going first?
Okay.
Well, I finished last, so
you go first.
I beat him by a half point.
well, I had, in all fairness, I had 0 points last week. But,
that's true. You start then.
All right, I got my lineup is Charles Oliveira, Carla Esparza, took the shot with Tony Ferguson. Oh wait, no, these are my picks. Never mind. Whoopsie. So, it took 51 minutes for me to screw up something as being the host. My lineup is Andre Fiallo, Tracy Cortez, Carla Esparza, Charles Oliveira, Khaos Williams, and the Cerrone killer, Joe Lauzon.
The Cerrone killer. Well, I'll go second if Weezy has no objections. I'm going to go with Michael Chandler, Andre Fiallo, Fernie Garcia, Justin Gaethje, Carla Esparza, and the punt play with Carnelossi this week. But I might actually, live on the channel, I'm going to change that to Shogun Hua. I talked myself into it in the hardcore section.
Yes.
I'm putting Shogun in instead of Carnelossi. So Chandler, Fiallo, Garcia, Gaethje, Esparza, and Shogun, baby.
Let's go.
Right.
Okay, so the most expensive fighter in my lineup is Donald Cerrone. Oh my God, help me. Jeez. I'm going to have to go to church between now and Saturday and just, pray for forgiveness for everything that I've done. So it's going to be Donald Cerrone, Tracy Cortez, Charles Oliveira, Blagoy Ivanov, Khaos Williams, and the punt is going to be Carla Esparza. We've got no salary remaining.
Nice.
Perfect. 50K on the nose. And now let's get to the quick picks. Chat, if you guys have any questions, please ask them. And let's go to the quick picks. Monk, you want to start off?
Absolutely. I'm probably, I might actually be in fight order still. We'll see. Fernie Garcia, Lupita Godinez, Clayton Rodriguez, Tracy Cortez, Francisco Trinaldo, Marcos Rogério de Lima, Brandon Royval, Macy Chiasson, Khaos Williams, Andre Fiallo, Donald Cerrone, Ovince St. Preux, don't like that, Tony Ferguson, Rose Namajunas, and Charles Oliveira. Guys, in case you didn't know, Computer Monk, my spreadsheet picks all these for me, so that's why you can see the surprise on my face. But yeah, he also picked 12 of 15 fights to finish inside the distance this week. So let's go, baby.
All right. Weezy, what do you got for the picks?
Okay, so main event, I'm going with Charles Oliveira. Co-main event, I'm going with Carla Esparza via lay and pray. And then we're going Michael Chandler, but I do have a bet on Tony Ferguson round 3 for a quarter unit at plus 2,900. Let's go, El Kakui. Let's go. I'm gonna pick St. Preux here, but I think Shogun Hua is live, and there's no way that I would bet Ovince St. Preux at minus 250. Just getting that out of the way. Donald Cerrone, Khaos Williams, Trinaldo, Dumont, Royval, Ivanov, Fiallo, Tracy Cortez, Clayton Rodriguez, Lupita Godinez, and I'm going to go with Fernie Garcia.
Yeah.
All right, Weezy, our picks are eerily similar. I'm going with Charles Oliveira, just to troll a few people in chat, I'm going to take Carla Esparza, even though I already had it written down. I'm playing Tony Ferguson. I just don't trust Michael Chandler. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Got to go Shogun. Got to take Joe Lauzon here. You guys know why that bothers me so much. Khaos Williams. I'm going to take old man Trinaldo. Norma Dumont in a greasy split decision. I'm going to take Brandon Royval. I don't love it. I got to take the Bulgarian 50 Cent Ivanov, Andre Fiallo, Tracy Cortez, Clinton Rodriguez, Lupe Godinez, and I'm going to take Journey Newson in a slight upset to start off the card. Guys, do we have any questions in chat other than, well, I guess, Sean, I challenge you to head-to-head. You're scared is not a question for us. It's a question for chat. So,
yeah.
So if there's nothing else, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. If you haven't liked, subscribed, please do. Monk, tell the people where they can find you. I feel like I know one spot you go, but please tell the people where you are.
Yes, sir. You can find me on Twitter at Monkmatics or over on YouTube, Monkmatics, channel spelled just like it is below my beard here. My game theory video is out. My picks and fades video is out. Hopefully a bit better than last week, but I did have a couple of decent ones there. But Gina Mazzani looked pretty bad. Let's not get it twisted. But everyone was on Gina Mazzani last week, so hey,
Brutal.
give me a break. But other than that, you can find me, MMA Engine. Go subscribe to that channel, guys. It's the three of us plus Brady this week. And shout out to Brady this week. But we are over there releasing content daily, sometimes 2-3 times a day. We have a couple of weeks until our website launches. And that is actually, you're looking at a section of it right now. I believe this might be the old optimizer. So a little sneak peek for you there. So be on the lookout for that. And I know several of us have lots of content out there for UFC 274. So check it all out, like and subscribe to all our channels, and especially Pub Sports Radio. Thank you guys very much.
Weezy, talk to the people.
You can find me where the people go to talk about MMA, which is Uncle Weezy's MMA or YouTube channel, and then also, of course, the MMA Engine YouTube channel. Tomorrow night, Lou Betya and I will be going live 7:15 Central Time for Probability, where we're going to give you a data-driven look into all the over-under and fight goes and fight doesn't go lines on this UFC 274 card. The model absolutely killed it last week. We're hoping we're going to have some success. Find some good spots for you guys this week as well. I just did a full card breakdown last night on my channel called Just the Tip with Uncle Weezy. We broke down all 15 fights, and I gave you a plus money Tracy Cortez by decision for the ass shaving of the week. Wrestling rules in the words of my guy Real Deal Prime, and I think wrestling will reign supreme in that particular match. But Gatto is still live to win by submission, in my opinion. Still, you guys, you can find me on my channel, MMA Engine, Pub Sports Radio, for every Sunday for Stat Diggers, and right here every Wednesday for the DFS show. Hey, thank you guys for spending your Wednesday evening with us, and let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC 274. Let's go.
That's right. And you can find me at all the places they just mentioned, because I'm doing shows with both of them the next 2 days. But then also I'm doing a show at 8:30 on Friday night. New show, The Bet Elevator with Couch Warrior,
Yes.
where we bid on fights. We go crazier props until one of us cannot take it. And then that person must make the bet. So, yeah, it's a little interesting. It's a little different. And maybe one day it'll even be profitable. Who knows? I did hit the Brito round 1 KO was a nice little prop. But
yeah,
I didn't think it was going to win. But guys, have a great night. Thank you for joining us. And next week, it will be the Fearsome Foursome, and I will not be here. All right, guys, have a great day. Take care.